Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day. Don't forget, grab your smartphone and download the Lava Matra app and stay in touch. Guru Maharaj's message is your advantage. The following is a Sri Krishna Chaitanya book compilation given by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj on November 6th, 2021 in Sri Mayapur, India.
Bangon Langhayate Girim
Yati Vatavan Vande
Sri Guru Dina Tharinam
Paramananda Madhavam
Sri Chaitanya Vishwaram.
Hare Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we will continue with the compilation of Sri Krishna Chaitanya book. Today's chapter is entitled as The Parable to Explain Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan. Under the section, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instruct Sanatan Goswami in the science of the absolute truth. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 20.127.
চতুর্বিধ অবিধের মধ্যে সকল শাস্ত্রে একমাত্র শুদ্ধ ভক্তিরই নিরাপদ তত্ত্ব ও অনায়াস তত্ত্ব বর্ণন। উপমা সর্বজ্ঞ বা সিদ্ধ মহাজনের উপদেশ। ইহাতে দৃষ্টান্ত জয়ছে দরিদ্রের ঘরে, সর্বজ্ঞ আসি দুঃখ দেখি পুছয়ে তাহারে।
The following parable may be given. Once a learned astrologer came to the house of a poor man and seeing his distressed condition questioned him. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes we go to an astrologer or a palmist when we are in a distressed condition or when we want to know the future. The living entity in conditioned life is always distressed by the threefold miseries of material existence. Under the circumstances, he is inquisitive about his position. For instance, Sanatan Goswami approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to ask him why he was in a distressed condition. This is the position of all conditioned souls. We are always in a distressed condition, and an intelligent man naturally becomes inquisitive. This position is called Brahma Jignasa, Atato Brahma Jignasa, Vedanta Sutra 1.1.1. Brahma here refers to the Vedic literature. One should consult the Vedic literature to know why the conditioned soul is always in a distressed condition. The Vedic literatures are meant to free the conditioned soul from the miserable conditions of material existence. In this chapter, the story of the astrologer Sarvagnya and the poor man is very instructive.
So, the astrologer is asking the poor man why he's feeling miserable.
So the astrologer is asked by the poor man why he is miserable.
This is a parable, and let's see what happens.
This is a parable. Let's see what happens. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 20.128.
জীবের নিত্যসিদ্ধ ভাব কৃষ্ণ প্রেমা। তুমি কেন এত দুঃখী, তোমার আছে পিতৃধন, তোমারে না কহিল অন্যতর ছাড়িল জীবন।
The astrologer asked, "Why are you unhappy? Your father was very wealthy, but he did not disclose his wealth to you because he died elsewhere."
Father didn't tell his son where the wealth was hidden.
So the father didn't tell the son where the health was hidden.
And he died in a foreign place there was no chance
He,
to tell his family members
he,
where he
died,
had hidden the wealth.
he died in a foreign place where he had no chance to tell his family member where he had hidden the wealth. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 20.129.
সাধ্য প্রেম আর সাধনভূত ভক্তির অবশ্য কর্তব্যতা শাস্ত্রে তাহাই বিধান। সর্বজ্ঞের বাক্যে করে ধনের উদ্দেশ্যে হয়েছে বেদ পুরাণ জীবে কৃষ্ণ উপদেশে।
Just as the words of the astrologer Sarvajna gave news to the poor man's treasure, the Vedic literatures advise one about Krishna consciousness when one is inquisitive to know why he is in a distressed material condition.
If we know that we have an eternal relationship with Krishna,
If we know that we have an eternal relationship with Krishna,
and that there's no reason to be distressed,
and that there is no reason to be distressed,
because by serving Krishna, we can achieve natural spiritual bliss.
because by serving Krishna, we can achieve natural spiritual bliss. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 20.130.
জীবের নিত্য সম্বন্ধ কৃষ্ণই সর্বশাস্ত্রে উদ্দিষ্ট। সর্বজ্ঞের বাক্যে মূল ধন অনুবন্ধ সর্বশাস্ত্রে উপদেশ শ্রীকৃষ্ণ সম্বন্ধ।
By the words of the astrologer, the poor man's connection with the treasure was established. Similarly, the Vedic literature advises us that our real connection is with Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.26, Sri Krishna says, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda na kaschana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. Thus Krishna knows the cause of the distressed condition of the conditioned soul. He therefore descends from his original position to instruct the conditioned soul and inform him about his forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. Krishna exhibits himself in his relationships in Vrindavan and at the battle of Kurukshetra so that people will be attracted to him and will return home back to Godhead. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the proprietor of all universes, the enjoyer of everything that be and the friend of everyone. Bhoktaram yaknya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam. Bhagavad Gita 5.29. If we revive our original intimate relationship with Krishna, our distressed condition in the material world will be mitigated. Everyone is trying to adjust to the distressed conditions of material existence, but the basic problems cannot be solved unless one is in an intimate relationship with Krishna.
The goal of the materialist to have a very blissful
So the goal of the materialist is to have a very blissful,
situation to enjoy sense gratification.
peaceful situation to enjoy material sense gratification.
And all illusory,
These are all illusory
because existence in this material world is temporary.
because existence in this material world is temporary.
No matter how nice a situation we have,
No matter how nice the situation we have,
so wasting life on this illusory reality,
will naturally leave the person distressed and frustrated.
re-establishing our relationship with Krishna
Re-establishing our relationship with Krishna
is the real way to establish eternal happiness.
is the real way to receive eternal happiness. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.131
নিত্যসিদ্ধ ভাবেরই প্রাকট্যই বদ্ধ জীবের সাধন বাপের ধন আছে জানে ধন নাহি পায় সর্বজ্ঞ কহে তারে প্রাপ্তির উপায়
Although being assured of his father's treasure, the poor man cannot acquire this treasure by such knowledge alone. Therefore, the astrologer had to inform him about the means whereby he could actually find the treasure.
Poor man, by hearing he had a great treasure left by his father,
Poor man, by hearing that there is a great treasure had been left by his father,
could not benefit because just hearing about the father rich
just hearing about the father is rich,
without actually getting the treasure
without actually getting the treasure,
doesn't solve the problem.
doesn't solve the problem.
So he needs to find out a system how to get the money.
He needs to find out the system how to get the money. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.132
ভক্তি মার্গ ভক্তি লাভার্থ কর্মমার্গে বিপদ আশঙ্কা এই স্থানে আছে ধন বলি দক্ষিণে খুদিবে ভেমরুল বরলি উঠিবে ধন না পাইবে
The astrologer said, the treasure is in this place, but if you dig toward the southern side, the webs and drones will rise, and you will not get your treasure.
So the astrologer knew where the treasure was,
So the astrologer knew where the treasure was,
but he guided that if you cut to the south,
he guided if you cut to the south,
you'll be bitten by wasps and bumblebee drones,
you'll be bitten by the webs and bumblebee drones.
and you'll not get your treasure.
You will not get the treasure. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.133
বিভূতি সিদ্ধি লাভার্থ যোগমার্গে বিপদ আশঙ্কা পশ্চিমে খুদিবে তাহা যক্ষ এক হয় সে বিঘ্ন করিবে ধনে হাত না পড়য়
If you dig on the western side, there is a ghost who will create such disturbance that your hands will not even touch this treasure.
And so the poor man was told
So the poor man was told,
take to the west, they attacked by a dangerous ghost,
if he digs in the west, he would be attacked by a dangerous ghost,
won't get the wealth.
so he won't get the wealth. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.134
সাজুজ্য লাভার্থ জ্ঞান মার্গে বিপদ আশঙ্কা তোরে খুদিলে আছে কৃষ্ণ যোগরে ধর নাহি পাবে খুদিতে গিলিবে সবারে
If you dig on the northern side, there is a big black snake that will devour you if you attempt to dig up the treasure.
On the northern side, he digs,
On the northern side, if he digs,
he'll be attacked by a gigantic snake.
he would be attacked by
Will devour him up.
he would be attacked by a gigantic snake which would devour him up.
He won't get the treasure.
He won't get the treasure.
What does this mean?
What does this mean? Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.135
পূর্ব বা পুরাণ বা নিত্য শাশ্বত ধন কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি একমাত্র আপদ শূন্য পূর্ব দিকে তাতে মাটি অল্প খুদিতে ধনের ঝাড়ি পড়িবে তোমার হাতেতে
However, if you dig up a small quantity of dirt on the eastern side, Your hands will immediately touch the pot of treasure. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The Vedic literatures, including the Puranas, state that according to the position of the conditioned soul, there are different processes: karma kanda, jnana kanda, the yogic process and the bhakti process. Karma kanda is compared to wasps and drones that will simply bite if one takes shelter of them. Jnana kanda, the speculative process, is simply like a ghost who will create mental disturbances. Yoga, the mystic process, is compared to a black snake that devours people by the impersonal cultivation of kaivalya. However, if one takes to bhakti yoga, he becomes quickly successful. In other words, through bhakti yoga, one's hands touch the hidden treasure without difficulty. The goal of all the revealed scripture and Vedic injunction is Krishna, as he himself says in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15. Vedaisya sarvair aham eva vedyaha. Since the Vedas enjoin one to search out Krishna and take shelter at his lotus feet, and since no Vedic process but devotional service will enable one to do this, one has to take to devotional service. According to the Bhagavad Gita 18.55, only the bhakti process is said to be definitive. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. This is the conclusive statement of the Vedas, and one has to accept this process if one is serious in searching for Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives the following statement. The eastern side represents devotional service to Lord Krishna. The southern side represents the process of fruitive activity, karma kanda, which ends in material gain. The western side represents jnana kanda, the process of mental speculation, or sometimes siddhi kanda, the mystic yoga system. The northern side represents mystic yoga, or sometimes the speculative method. It is only the eastern side devotional service that enables one to attain life's real goal. On the southern side, there are fruitive activities by which one is subject to the punishment of Jamaraj. When one follows the system of fruitive activity, his material desires remain prominent. Consequently, the results of this process are compared to webs and drones. The living entity is bitten by the webs and drones of fruitive activity and thus suffers the material existence of birth after birth. One cannot become free from material desires by following this process. The propensity for material enjoyment never ends. Therefore, the cycle of birth and death continues, and the spirit soul suffers perpetually. The mystic yoga process is compared to a black snake that devours the living entity and injects him with poison. The ultimate goal of the yoga system is to become one with the Absolute. This means finishing one's personal existence. As the spiritual part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as an eternal individual existence. The Bhagavad Gita confirms that the individual soul existed in the past, is existing in the present, and will continue to exist as an individual in the future. Artificially trying to become one with the absolute truth is suicidal. One cannot annihilate his natural condition. A yaksha, a protector of riches, will not allow anyone to take away riches for enjoyment. Such demon will simply create disturbances. In other words, a devotee will not depend on his material resources, but on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can give real protection. This is called Rakshashyatiti Vishwasaha, or in Bengali poetry of Bhaktivinoda Thakur Sharanagati, Avashya Rakhibe Krishna Bishbash Palan. The surrendered soul must accept the fact that his real protector is Krishna, not his material accusations. Considering all these points, devotional service to Krishna is the real treasure house for the living entity. When one comes to the platform of devotional service, he always remains opulent in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is bereft of devotional service is swallowed by the black snake of the yoga system and bitten by the webs and drones of fruitive activities, and he suffers consequent material miseries. Sometimes the living entity is misled into trying to merge into the spiritual existence, thinking himself as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that when he comes to the spiritual platform, he will be disturbed and will again return to the material platform. According to Srimad Bhagavatam 10.2.32, E Anni Arvinda Muktamanina. Such people may become sannyasis, but unless they take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, they will return to the material platform to perform philanthropic activities. In this way, one's spiritual life is lost. This is to be understood as being devoured by the black snake.
This purport describes
So this purport describes
what this parable means.
what this parable means.
Why east, why the north, why the west, north, south, this bad results.
Why it produced bad results.
Only the east gives the treasure.
But why only the East will give the treasure?
Only by devotional service can one overcome all the miseries of life.
Only by devotional service one can overcome all the miseries of material life. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.136.
শুদ্ধ ভক্তি বলে কৃষ্ণ প্রেমা লাভই সর্বশাস্ত্রের তাৎপর্য হইছে শাস্ত্র কহে কর্ম জ্ঞান যোগ ত্যাজি ভক্তে কৃষ্ণ বশ হয় ভক্তে তারে ভজি.
The revealed scriptures conclude that one should give up fruitive activity, speculative knowledge, and the mystic yoga system and instead take to devotional service by which Krishna can be fully satisfied.
It says in the teaching of Lord Chaitanya,
This is being said in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya.
Mukti Bhakti Siddhikami Sakala Santa Krishna Bhakta Nisham Advai Santa.
মুক্তি মুক্তি স্প্রিয়াকামী সকলে অশান্ত কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি নিষ্কাম অতএব শান্ত.
Not only by Krishna Bhakti
That only by Krishna Bhakti
can one actually become peaceful,
can one actually become peaceful
actually achieve the real treasure.
and actually achieve the real treasure. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.137.
ভগবান ভক্তের লভ্য ভক্তি বললেই মুচি ও সূচি. শ্রীমদ্ ভাগবতের 11:14-20-21.
Na sadhayati mam yogo na sankyam dharma uddhava na swadhyayas tapastyago yata bhaktir mamorjita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Uddhava, neither through Ashtanga Yoga, the mystic yoga system to control the senses, nor through impersonal monism and analytical study of the Absolute Truth, nor through study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, charity, or acceptance of sannyas can one satisfy me, as much as developing unalloyed devotional service unto me. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. These and the following verse are quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.20-21. The explanation for this verse is given in the Adi Leela 17.76. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20 20.138 Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya Shraddha yatma priya satam Bhakti punati mam nishta swapakan api sambhavat. Being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I am attained through unflinching faith and devotional service. This Bhakti Yoga system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even a human being born among dog eaters. That is to say, everyone can be elevated to the spiritual platform by the process of Bhakti Yoga.
I saw Bhakti Yoga and actually lure us
So Bhakti Yoga
to
can
the real position of Krishna Prema.
So actually Bhakti Yoga can deliver us to the real position of Krishna Prema.
Other processes are not successful in this regard.
Other processes are not successful in this regard.
They are considered as simply disturbances.
They are considered as simply disturbances.
He said, perform devotional service
We should perform devotional service
as the only recommended process.
as the only required process. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.139
সর্বশাস্ত্রে কৃষ্ণ প্রাপ্তির সাধন ভক্তিরই ভক্তিয়ত্ব গীত অতহে ভক্তি কৃষ্ণ প্রাপ্তের উপায় অভিধেয় বলি তারে সর্বশাস্ত্রে গায়.
The conclusion is that devotional service is the only means for approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This system is therefore called Abhideya. This is the verdict of all revealed scriptures. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, as Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita 18.55, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato gyatva vishate tad anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion he can enter into the kingdom of God. The aim of life is to get rid of material conditioning and enter into spiritual existence. Although the Shastras prescribe different methods for different men, the Supreme Personality of Godhead says that one ultimately must accept the path of devotional service as the assured path of spiritual advancement. Devotional service to the Lord is the only process actually confirmed by the Lord. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. One must become a devotee if one wants to return home back to Godhead and become eternally blissful.
Although the scriptures advise different processes that help people make a little advancement,
that will help people to make little advancement,
but ultimately to achieve complete success, to achieve the spiritual world,
ultimately to achieve complete success, to achieve the spiritual world,
one has to take shelter of devotional service.
One has to take shelter of devotional service. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.140
দৃষ্টান্ত ধন পাইলে জয়ছে সুখ ভোগ ফল পায় সুখ ভোগ হইতে দুঃখ আপনি পালায়.
When one actually becomes rich, he naturally enjoys all kinds of happiness. When one is actually in a happy mood, all distressful conditions go away by themselves. No extraneous endeavor is needed.
One achieves Krishna consciousness.
If one achieves Krishna consciousness,
one achieves everything.
Then one achieves everything.
All the problems are solved.
All the problems are solved.
One becomes totally happy.
One becomes totally happy.
We should simply try the Krishna consciousness.
So we should simply try to be Krishna consciousness. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.141
সম্বন্ধযুক্ত সেবা ফলে কৃষ্ণ প্রীতি বৃদ্ধি তৎসঙ্গে সঙ্গ মুক্তি বা অনর্থ নিবৃত্তি দৈচ্ছে ভক্তি ফলে কৃষ্ণ প্রেম উপাজয় প্রেমে কৃষ্ণ সাধ হইলে ভবনাশ পায়।
Similarly, as a result of bhakti, one's dormant love for Krishna awakens. When one is so situated that he can taste the association of Lord Krishna, material existence, the repetition of birth and death comes to an end.
So, by Krishna Bhakti,
by Krishna Bhakti,
that dormant love of Krishna,
the dormant love of Krishna,
which is in everyone's heart,
which is in everyone's heart, awakens.
One is naturally freed from the material existence.
One is naturally freed from the material existence. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.142
কৃষ্ণ প্রীতিমূলা সেবার মুখ্য ফল কৃষ্ণ প্রেমানন্দ লাভ গৌণ ফল বৈমুখ্য নিবৃত্তি ও মুক্তি দারিদ্র নাশ ভয় ক্ষয় প্রেমের ফল নয় প্রেম সুখ ভোগ মুখ্য প্রয়োজন হয়।
The goal of love of Godhead is not to become materially rich or free from material bondage. The real goal is to be situated in devotional service to the Lord and to enjoy transcendental bliss.
One may think that by bhakti they should become materially rich.
One may think by bhakti that they should become materially rich,
or they should be free of fear.
They should be free of fear.
But the real result is you get transcendental bliss.
But the result is to get transcendental bliss.
Always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
And be always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, the results of devotional service are certainly not material benefits or liberation from material bondage. The goal of devotional service is to be eternally situated in the loving service of the Lord and to enjoy spiritual bliss from that service. One is said to be poverty-stricken condition when one forgets the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to end such a life of poverty in order to automatically end the miserable conditions of material existence. One is automatically liberated from material enjoyment when one tastes the service of Krishna. One does not have to endeavor separately for opulence. Opulence automatically comes to the pure devotee, even though he does not desire material happiness.
Everybody only desires to serve Krishna.
Pure devotees only desire to serve Krishna.
But Krishna may give him all kinds of opulence.
But Krishna may give him all kinds of opulence.
That whatever Krishna wants. The devotee is fixed
But the devotee
on his right to serve Krishna.
But the devotee is fixed only to serve Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.143
বেদে কৃষ্ণ সম্বন্ধ ভক্তি অবিধেয় প্রেম প্রয়োজন বেদ শাস্ত্রে কহে সম্বন্ধ অবিধেয় প্রয়োজন কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি প্রেম তিন মহাধন।
In the Vedic literatures, Krishna is the central point of attraction, and his service is our activity. To attain the platform of love of Krishna is life's ultimate goal. Therefore, Krishna's service, and love of Krishna are the three great riches of life.
Our sambandha or relationship with Krishna.
So our real sambandha or relationship with Krishna.
Acting in that relationship.
To devotional service.
Avideya.
And is avidya.
And the result of doing devotional service.
And the result of doing
one awakens the dormant love for Krishna.
Awakens the dormant love for Krishna.
Prema. That's the goal of life.
That is the goal of life. Thus ends the chapter entitled The Parable to explain Sambandha Abhidheya Prayojan. Under the section, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatan Goswami in the science of absolute truth.
Do you like our ad-free videos? Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.